On this episode of MythBusters, it's calamitous kitchen catastrophes.
What could be wrong with my cooking?
Adam and Jamie pitch a glass of water into a grease fire inferno.
Yeah!
To find out if it really throws up a 30-foot fireball.
I think we're gonna need a smaller scale.
Meanwhile, Carrie, Grant, and Tori
All right, we're hot.
ask if a microwave can set off C4. Explosions are guaranteed. Then they sniff out whether cheese
The enemy's attacking!
can ever be used as cannonballs.
It's lethal, people!
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
I feel perfectly normal.
and Jamie Heineman.
Pain is your friend.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Joining them, Tori Belleci, Grant Imahara, and Carrie Byron.
Look, Ma, no hands!
They don't just tell the myths,
That didn't mess around.
they put them to the test.
Kitchen catastrophes.
That's our story,
Actually, a whole episode.
and we're not talking just like fallen souffles and burnt flans here.
No, these are real disasters.
So what are we doing?
Well, I'll give you a hint. You've got a source of ignition. You've got a fuel, think biodiesel. Add to that the air that you breathe, and you've got a grease fire.
We're doing grease fires.
More specifically, that trying to extinguish a grease fire with a cup of water will cause a 30-foot fireball.
That sounds genuinely tasty. Let's dig in.
Grease fires are no laughing matter. Every year they cost millions of dollars and claim hundreds of lives. But are these facts and figures fact or fiction? Can it really be true that a mere 8 ounces of water poured over a grease blaze will kickstart a 30-foot fireball? Or is it just a flash in the pan?
Always the costumes with you.
I'm just dressed and ready for whatever the plan might be. What is it?
We set up a stove. We set up a 30-foot scale behind it. We put oil on the stove, heat it until it burns, introduce 8 ounces of water to it, and stand back.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Adam's in a hurry to light a fire under this myth. Luckily, they'll be under adult supervision.
In our ongoing quest to get some quality playtime with every single fire department within a 50-mile radius of MythBusters, we've come today to the South San Francisco Fire Department's training facility where they've agreed to let us set some grease fires.
But before Adam fans the flames of his pyromania, he's taking on his acrophobia.
This is just as much fun as it looks. It's also as scary as it looks.
3 stories up, he's setting up their homemade benchmark scale.
This scale right here is 30 feet tall, and the myth says that we're supposed to get a fireball 30 feet tall. This will tell us if that's correct. Personally, it strikes me as a little ambitious.
It sure seems like a tall order, but the guys are cooking up their own version of this mythical kitchen catastrophe, and they've lined up all the ingredients.
So what we've got here is a frying pan full of 2 quarts of oil. We got a thermistor to check how hot it's getting. We got 8 ounces of water to dump on it once we catch it on fire. And we got a gauge to tell us if the fireball we get is in fact 30 feet tall.
2 quarts of canola oil and some water, 30 feet fireball. No, I don't think so.
Well, there's only one way to find out. For the first of 3 oils, canola, it's flame on.
We're good to go, Adam.
It's heating up fast.
You hungry?
I am. Let's cook up some shrimp.
How about some fried water?
Perfect. Let's do it.
With the stove cranked up, the temperature soon follows.
515 degrees, and it's only been like 6 minutes. This is nice and fast.
100 degrees later on, and the canola reaches its flash point, the temperature at which it can start to burn.
Oh, I saw a little bit of fire. Did you see that? We're past the flash point.
But once it gets to 680 degrees, it reaches a state called auto-ignition, where it's going to burst into flame, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
600 and how much?
645.
Oh, we're close to the auto ignition point.
And I see
Oh.
flame on it.
All right, I'd say that's a grease fire.
Yep, that's a grease fire, all right. And every fire safety rule in the land says do not do what Adam's about to. But how bad can it really be?
All right, canola oil, putting out a grease fire in my kitchen, perhaps unwisely, in 3, 2, 1. Wow! That was a hell of a thing.
It was.
Proof, if it was needed, grease is the word.
I was a little surprised at how large the fire was that came off of this. I'm glad we set this thing up remotely, because we would have had a problem if we were doing it right next to the stove, like most people would.
That exceeded all of my expectations. I honestly don't know what to say. I'm kind of gobsmacked by how energetic that was.
Sure, it's an horrific fireball. But before we get too carried away, let's not forget, the myth says with 8 ounces of water, it should go 30 feet.
12,
15 feet. Oh my God, 20 feet.
That's still 10 feet or 30% short. But the guys aren't done yet. A closer look at exactly what's going on, and you can see why this myth may just be possible.
Well, that water went from, room temperature to all of a sudden the temperature of the oil, which was around 700 or 800 degrees. That means it turned to steam. Now, when water turns to steam, it expands up to around 1,600 times the volume. That expansion was actually an explosion that exploded upward out of this pan, carrying all this oil along with it. And since everything's so hot, it all just becomes a big fireball.
But will it be big enough? One thing's for sure, the MythBusters are going to do everything they can to push the feisty fireball to its utter limits.
I guess you shouldn't do that.
No. Let's do it again.
Okay, kitchen nightmares. What do we got?
First up, we have a movie myth about a kitchen appliance disaster.
Go on.
All right, so the movie is Grosse Point Blank. And in this famous scene, a bad guy inside of a convenience store throws a bomb inside of a microwave. Now, the bomb looks like some C4 with an electrical device attached to it. He sticks it into the microwave, turns it up to 60 seconds.
Yeah, I know this myth. And the hero just manages to get out of the store in time for the microwave to go ding, and then kaboom.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster. But can a microwave really be used to set off an elaborately wired C4 bomb? And can it be set to detonate in exactly 60 seconds?
Okay, so it sounds like all we need are some microwaves, some plastic explosives, and a date at the bomb range.
I think we need to do 3 tests. First test, C4 in the microwave alone. Second test, C4 with Hollywood wires.
Hollywood wires?
You know, coils, springs, nothing genuine, just like in the movies.
Yeah, and then the third and final test will be C4 with a proper fuse.
Ah, I love cooking with C4. My favorite ingredient.
C4 cuisine is best enjoyed and is safest down home on the bomb range.
Look how clean that is. Shame we're gonna blow it up.
So to properly test this myth, we didn't just choose any microwave off the shelf. We did our homework. Now, based on the one that's in the movie Grosse Point Blank, we know a few things. First, it's in a convenience store. Second, its physical size. And third, its power level, which is 1,000 watts. Now, we purposely avoided using modern inverter technology and went old school, which is what this baby is.
In other words, besides the color,
All right, we're hot.
it's identical to the one in the film.
All right, now that you explained all of the technical specifications, let's see if it actually works. Breakfast!
You hear that? That's what yummy sounds like.
Yummy it may be, but when cooking C4, simply pressing the start button won't be an option.
Now it's time to get serious. All right, well, we need to set these microwaves off remotely so that no one gets hurt. What do you have?
We got a bomb robot.
I love those 2 words. Bomb robot.
Robot tragic and BattleBot champion Grant is about to get a glimpse of geek heaven.
Oh. I think it's love at first sight.
Oh my God!
I, for one, welcome our new robotic overlords.
While Grant struggles with the drool control, Tori and Carrie do a little matchmaking.
Come on,
She'll like you?
talk to her.
Hi. Nice actuator you have there.
But enough of the robot romance, please. She may be a looker,
This is much better than pushing the button and running.
Absolutely.
but is she any good in the kitchen? We'll take that as a yes.
Okay, so we've got our bomb robot, we got our microwave. All we need to do is chuck some C4 in there and start our experiment.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Stop touching it.
And luckily, as well as the remarkable robot, the bomb squad also brought along today's other key explosive ingredient, C4.
This is C4 in its bulk form. It has an explosive called RDX contained inside of a plastic compound that keeps it stable. For example, you could drop it, you could shoot it with a gun, you could light it on fire, but none of these things alone is enough to detonate it. You need the combination of intense heat and incredible shock to get it to go off. It's gonna be very interesting to see what it will take to get this to go off inside of a microwave.
That it will. So, what's the plan?
For this kitchen nightmare myth, we have 3 tests to our experiment. Number 1, the control test. Now this is just a hunk of C4 in the microwave for 60 seconds. Test 2, the hunk of C4, but with a Hollywood wire system. We're emulating exactly what we saw in the clip. Number 3, which is a hunk of C4, Hollywood wires, and a blasting cap.
So maybe we can get that microwave to look a little like this car here.
Now, microwaving C4 could make it unstable, so they've got a backup bang plan.
Now for these tests, in case the C4 inside the microwave doesn't go off, we need to be able to render the situation safe. We have a container of water that we have C4 in that we can set off from the bunker. Now since the water is uncompressible, it'll shred this microwave completely.
So, with the microwave, the safety system, and the robot on standby, everything is set for test 1. C4 only for 60 seconds on full power.
Oh, that's so great. All right, it started.
Bingo! The robot starts the timer, and she's off to safety.
Retreat, robot!
But the robot retreat may not have been needed, since after a full minute, there's a chronic lack of cooking action.
So C4 on its own for 60 seconds is not going to detonate in the microwave.
Yeah.
So I guess to make this safe, we better back up, blow it up.
All right. You ready? Fire in the hole in 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
Now it's all safe.
Yep, test 1's a dud. The only blast came courtesy of the failsafe. So, will the movie prop wiring system cook the C4's goose? Or is it just a half-baked Hollywood idea? Not all kitchen fires should be doused with water, as Adam and Jamie have just found out.
Oh my God, 20 feet.
But the myth they're testing says 8 ounces of water can cause a 30-foot-high inferno. Canola oil peaked at only 20. Ugh. So next up, it's peanut oil.
So the auto ignition point of peanut oil is over 200 degrees hotter than the auto ignition point of canola oil. Will that translate to a more energetic fireball that's even bigger than the last one? I don't know, but my intuition says yes.
Once the peanut oil is heated to 850 degrees, it's time to put Adam's intuition to the test.
I think we should just do it.
All right, here we go. This is water poured on a peanut oil fire on your stove in 3, 2, 1. I felt that from here.
Yeah.
That was 30 feet, man. I watched it. That was 30 feet.
The peanut oil gave us a nice big ball of fire and it went up 30 feet. So I guess the myth is true. It's time to go home.
Whoa there, Jamie. Not so fast.
Up she goes.
Are you sure?
5 feet,
Really, really sure
15.
that the actual fireball went up 30 feet?
Yeah, I don't think that's quite 30 feet.
Yeah, the smoke kind of got up that high, but it looks to me like it's maybe 25 at best.
Maybe, yeah. It's more like 20.
Looks like Jamie will be working a full day after all, as test 3 beckons.
Now, if you know us, we're sticklers for detail. even if you don't believe that we're sticklers for detail, we are sticklers for bigger fireballs. So if we don't get 30 feet out of lard, we're gonna have to figure something out to get that 30-foot fireball.
So let's meet today's third and final contestant.
It's not only delicious and nutritious, but it's flammable.
Sure, lard has lots of great qualities.
Lard.
But is one of them fueling a 30-foot kitchen fireball?
You think I should go?
I think you should go.
Okay, a seemingly harmless glass of water on a flaming pan of lard. And 3, 2, 1. That's a sizzle.
It's a nice try, but no cigar. But the lard still got one more shot in its fire locker. And Jamie proves once again that when it comes to dousing fires, who you gonna call?
Fire keeps coming back.
Not MythBusters.
It's laughing at you. Fire says, is that all you got? Check this out. Fire's like, go away. That's cool.
With no fireball reaching 30 feet, the myth's looking a bit far-fetched. But rest assured, the fireworks ain't over yet.
You know, that may be like the worst thing I've ever seen in any kind of kitchen, but it's also kind of beautiful. I mean, that was a fun day.
Yeah, we got 3 nice big fireballs, but no 30 feet. I think we got a little more work to do.
I think you're right.
Microwaves are a kitchen boon.
This frozen roast beef would require hours to defrost at room temperature.
But can they also be a kitchen boom? According to Hollywood, they can. C4 with 1 minute of full power is apparently a recipe for disaster. But when the guys tried it, they got zip, and Carrie knows why.
Microwaves cook food by emitting radio waves at about 2.5 gigahertz. Now, these radio waves have 2 interesting properties. One, they are absorbed by water, fat, and sugar, which converts into atomic motion, which heats up the food. 2, they are not absorbed by plastic, glass, or ceramics, or at least most of those. Now, C4 is called a plastic explosive. So C4 didn't actually even heat in the microwave, which means we didn't get either one of the criteria that you need for detonation for C4, which is heat and shockwave.
So next up is Hollywood wires, the exact prop configuration used in the movie.
Got all the little parts here. Managed to identify them.
The design is unlike any known fuse system. Just a block of C4 with a whole set of switches, wires, and even a 9-volt battery.
Here is that coil.
But can this unusual wiring system really create a convenience store catastrophe?
The 9-volt battery does have the potential to generate a lot of heat.
Yeah, and if we stick it in the microwave, it could easily explode.
So with their exact replica bomb in a new oven, and Grant's eye candy flashing her tracks,
What do you think's gonna happen?
I don't know. I hope it works.
they'll soon find out if it cooks up a storm, or is it just movie make-believe.
Test 2, Hollywood wires.
All right, so we have the microwave set for 60 seconds.
All right, time to deploy the robot.
He loves saying that.
Now the microwaves in an oven like this cycle more than 2 billion times a second.
Okay.
All right, get that robot out of there.
Run, robot, run, come on!
Food easily absorbs these waves, but they create havoc with metal, causing it to arc, spark, and generally go haywire.
Whoa, the microwave's on fire.
Oh, geez.
Oh my gosh.
You could say now they're really cooking.
That is cool. And all that C4 is just burning now.
As the timer counts down, the flames go up. But amazingly, there's still no explosion.
That's really cool. That's definitely not what happened in the movie, though.
No.
Talk about your kitchen nightmare.
There's plenty of fire in the hole, but no explosion. At least not until the failsafe is triggered.
In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah. It still works.
Yep, the backup boom works a treat. But the fuse system, as used in the movie, didn't set off the C4 in the oven. But there's still one last option to test.
The C4 actually caught on fire, but that's good for the myth. Because if we have some kind of blasting cap with the fuse in there, if the C4 catches on fire, it's gonna light that fuse and potentially set off the C4.
The only trouble is that neither the MythBusters nor JD can spot a blasting cap in the movie scene. But hey, let's give the film the benefit of the doubt.
This part of the experiment has me really excited because we have the C4 burning and we have a blasting cap which could be set off by the fire, which could set off the C4, which could give us boom, and maybe make this myth plausible.
Now, in a C4 explosion, gases travel at an incredible 18,000 miles per hour. Nothing can outrun that, human or robot. So for test 3, Grant's making sure his new best friend is super safe.
This robot's owned by the bomb squad. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. And on a personal note, I would be devastated if any harm came to it. So this time, we're gonna try something a little different. I've got a solution. Remote control. And with it, a remote-controlled finger. Here's how we'll set it up. There'll be a block of wood that acts as our safety. When we're ready to go, the robot will pull the block of wood away, and that will leave the finger free to push the button.
Now, with enough C4 in the oven to demolish a truck, Grant's finger may never be seen again.
All right, so we are all set to go. We got the C4 bomb in place with the Hollywood wires, but not only that, we have 2 different kinds of blasting caps just so that we're covered.
Okay, predictions?
I think we're gonna see that microwave set off the C4.
Yeah, I think one way or another, it's gonna detonate.
All right, we ready to go?
Count it in.
It's crunch time. They've packed everything into the oven that could possibly make the movie myth true. So will exactly 60 seconds on high blow it sky high?
Oh, it's live!
All right, so as soon as that robot is safe,
Yeah,
I can start the microwave.
That's right, I give it the finger. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
We set off the C4 with a microwave. That was beautiful.
It was indeed beautiful, but it was also fast, exploding 30 times quicker than in the movie.
Usually when there's an explosion, I'm the loudest screaming. I'm the one that's flailing about, freaking out. But I didn't even make a sound when this went off because it went off in less than 3 seconds.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have had time to get out of the convenience store.
You definitely would have had time to just put it in and dilly-dally. I mean, it was like spark, detonation, blah!
From the charred evidence, it's clear that with the right fuse, you can set off C4 in a microwave.
You'd think we hated cooking or something.
But if you think you've got 60 seconds to clear the room, you'd be toast.
All right, so how are we calling this one?
You know, the idea of setting off C4 in a microwave is possible.
If you have a blasting cap.
If you have a blasting cap. However, as far as timing goes, this movie myth looks busted.
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 How cool was that?
Dude, say something to her.
Do these pinchers go both ways? Is that too much too soon?
Yeah, maybe.
It's a fact that most home fires start on stoves.
Ignorance is the cause of panic when fire breaks out.
But it's looking like fiction that 8 ounces of water on a grease fire equals a 30-foot fireball.
That's not 30.
However, all is not lost. In order to get that super-sized mythical fireball, they're going to downsize the experiment and experiment with pot shapes.
We're still in the fire training center, but this time in a fireproof room. We're going down in scale with our oil and water experiments to find out what we need to go up in scale. We're going to use some cute little pots and pans like this to create some cute little kitchen conflagrations, all in an effort to create that elusive 30-foot high fireball.
So get set for mayhem in miniature. Will the physical dimensions of the pan make a difference to the height of the fireball?
So our scale experiment is pretty much ready to go. I've got several other types of frying pans and Jamie's beret liner just to find out which shape we think is most energetic.
Just like their large-scale outdoor tests, they've got a gauge behind the stove that will measure the fireball heights. Now, although the oil-to-water ratio is the same as their earlier tests, 8-to-1,
Okay, that's 8 teaspoons full of oil.
Adam's worried the miniature amounts may be too small.
All right, well, now we need 1 teaspoon up there.
So first up, it's a quick fireball test to see if the mini-me measure will still do the job.
Here we go. Scale kitchen conflagration. 1 teaspoon of water. Wow!
Yep, it's frightening stuff. Even a tiny amount of water can still cause a kitchen catastrophe.
I think we're gonna need a smaller scale. Well, we are continuing to discover that there is, I think the scientific term is crap load, a crap load of energy inherent in cooking oil when you heat it up and then add water to it.
But that energy does mean their tiny teaspoon scale is a good enough yardstick to test the pot shapes. First up, the wok. Will its oval shape help focus the flame?
This is 1 teaspoon of water and 8 teaspoons of peanut oil in a wok. 3, 2, 1.
Next, a standard pot.
3, 2, 1.
Nice.
And finally, a stovepipe-shaped pot.
Jimmy lights the fire.
Maybe it will act like a cannon and direct the blast upwards.
Here we go.
Okay, go. Pretty much the same.
Yeah, that wasn't bigger than the pot, was it?
No.
Darn it!
With all their pot tests delivering similar results, it's bad news for the Myth. Because even if they'd used different pan shapes in their earlier tests, it wouldn't have enlarged their great balls of fire.
So far, it looks like pot shape doesn't really matter. So the idea of 8 ounces of water creating a 30-foot fireball is, well, busted. The only thing left to try from here is adding more water, and we'll see what we get.
So with the pot size out of contention,
There we go.
the boys are going to see if throwing more water on the flaming oil will provoke a more furious flame.
Last time we did 8-to-1. This time we're going to do 4-to-1, and we'll ramp it up from there.
So will twice the ratio of water shoot the flames twice as high?
I think we're gonna get a bigger poof of a fireball. There we
There we
go.
go.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hard to say if that was bigger. It was at least as big.
But as big is not big enough. They want bigger and better fireballs. So the boys up the water volume again, 2-to-1. Half as much water as oil.
3, 2, 1.
It's getting better, but there's room for one final test. Equal parts oil and water.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Clearly, there's not much in it, but the guys feel that there is some improvement at the higher ratios.
I don't know, man. It's really close, but if I had to call the ideal ratio of water to oil, I'd say it's either the 2-to-1 or the 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, I'd make the same call, but you know, it is kind of like making the decision as to whether you want to be well done or really well done.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in either of them.
No.
But will that marginal difference make a difference in full scale? Will they finally fire up the mythical 30-foot fireball?
Okay, you guys, we can't do a show about kitchen nightmares without doing this next myth because it's got MythBusters written all over it.
Tell me more, senor.
Okay, it's 1840. There's a naval battle between Uruguay and Brazil. Captain Coe has run out of cannonballs, and he comes upon the idea of using cheese.
Obviously.
So, the captain orders all of his cannons to be loaded up with the cheese and fires them at the enemy's sails.
Well, apparently it was effective, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about it today.
Exactly.
This is gonna be weird, firing cheese out of a cannon.
Running out of cannonballs was the nightmare scenario for battles at sea. Unless you had an inspirational skipper. And that's what this myth is all about. With all the regular ammo used up, Captain Coe allegedly locked and loaded with Dutch Edam. But could a round of this cheese really cut the mustard and shred the enemy's sails? Or is this a myth that stinks?
Well, we've already got a perfectly good cannon, the one you built for Prison Break. Now we needed some hard cheeses and a period-appropriate sail.
Well, since none of us have ever used cheese as ammunition, how about we talk to a cheese expert and find out exactly what we're dealing with here?
All right.
I mean, I've never used cheese as ammunition. You?
Yeah, once. I don't like to talk about it.
Okay, but one thing Tori can talk about is how he's sourcing their cheesy myth-testing equipment.
Now, at MythBusters, we have a long history of testing sea myths, and we always do our homework, so I'm pretty sure we have everything either designed or already built to test this myth. Now, the first thing we need, obviously, is a cannon, which I built for Prison Breakout. And we've spent enough time cutting up canvases in the Pirate Special to know a thing or two about sails. Whoa, that was crazy. In fact, we're going back to the same sailmaker to get a period-accurate sailmate.
Meanwhile, Carrie and Grant are checking a cheese's chance of becoming cannon fodder with a state-of-the-art food texture analyzer.
So we need to see how projectile-worthy these cheeses are, how hard they are, and how likely they are to shatter coming out of the cannon, and how good they're going to be on impact.
What we'll do is we'll set up a penetration test where we'll deflect into the cheese and we'll measure how stiff it is, how hard it is, and how elastic it is.
First up, the cheese of the myth, Edam, took about 2.5 kilos of force to go in half an inch.
Okay.
2.5 kilos of force ain't a whole lot, so it's just as well the team brought 2 other, much firmer, fromages.
Why don't we now test the smoked Gouda?
Food texture expert Mark thinks that Edam in the 1840s might have been more like the smoked Gouda of today. But there's yin and yang. Although it's almost twice as hard as Edam, it has a bad side effect for a cannonball. It crumbles.
That's interesting.
So maybe the Spanish garrocha has a better future.
It did not fracture. It retained its shape and it fought to recover some energy, so that elasticity will be a good thing.
So it's a good candidate.
It's a very good candidate.
So although Edam's authentic, the other harder cheeses may be more reliable 1840 replicas.
This location is perfect.
With provisioning complete, it's time to launch this myth on the high seas. And test if there's a whiff of truth to the cannonball cheese conundrum.
Now, this myth is about a ship-to-ship battle. And lucky for us, San Francisco is surrounded on 3 sides by water. So we've come to Westar Marine Services Marina, where they're helping us transform this barge into a ship from 1840.
Starting with a genuine replica 19th century sail,
Oyster mainsail.
it's period perfect at a perfect target.
That looks so good.
That's awesome.
With the sail set, all that's needed is an enemy captain to stand in the line of fire.
I think we need to take him to the chiropractor. What do you think?
A job Buster's more than up for.
Oh!
Just as soon as he regains consciousness.
Now, historically, ship-to-ship combat usually took place at close range, around 30 feet. So that's what I'm going to mark out now. 1, 2, 3. 30 feet. This is where we're going to set our cannon. Wow, that's close.
The question that's worrying us right now the most is inside the cannon is basically an explosion. You light the fuse, that ignites the black powder, that turns into this massive ball of hot expanding gases. Will the cheese break up into a million pieces or even melt as it exits the cannon?
Getting out intact will be a stiff ask for any cheese.
Edam is what they talked about in the myth. That's what we have here. This is a smoked Gouda, which is actually more like the aged Edam back in those days.
And if you throw in the garrocha, the cheese voted most likely to be a good cannonball, that's all 3 pre-tested cheeses ready for loading. There's only one problem.
Push!
Aren't cannonballs supposed to be round?
Come on, man. The enemy's attacking, but this is my favorite cheese.
Luckily, they have the same technology to cut the cheese that was used in the 19th century.
Stop eating the ammunition.
Come on, I'm pregnant.
With their ammo shaved and shaped,
Oh, yeah.
it's launch time.
I christen you the Conquistador.
good to me. Put a hole in this sail.
So will cheese cut it as a cannonball, or will the sail just be a splatter with a platter? Can 8 ounces of water on a grease fire throw up a 30-foot fireball? The myth says yes. But so far, Adam and Jamie have only managed 20 feet.
No 30 feet. I think we got a little more work to do.
So they've ditched the 8-ounce idea.
Wow!
And are now seeing if any amount of water can launch a super-sized 30-foot fireball. In tooling up for their outdoor testing, Jamie's found the mother of all burners, while Adam's been using his time to make flames of a slightly different nature.
How much do you think Jamie's gonna hate this? Jamie, dude, I made a sign for our kitchen. What do you think?
Yeah, of course you did.
What did I tell you?
With the Heinemann seal of approval, it's time for the boys to pack up everything
and
head out to a dusty wasteland. If this isn't the middle of nowhere, you can probably see it from here.
So we've come back to commune with the windmills at Waste Management's Altamont landfill. And while you may see a desolate landscape surrounded by alternative energy, I see a kitchen about to incur its own worst-case scenario.
With the full-scale arsonist's dream kitchen in place,
What could be wrong with my cooking?
they're almost ready to fire up the big one.
Okay, and tip.
That's perfect.
The only thing left to do is to erect a 30-foot yardstick, and they can launch their test.
It's really droopy.
I know, it's gonna, well, we can reset.
Maybe easier said than done.
Whoa!
Ouch. That's gotta hurt.
That's what we call a zero property damage oops moment. Luckily, no one's hurt.
About now would be a really good time to take a commercial break. Adam, take it away.
You've been experimenting in your mom's kitchen, haven't you? I know I did. Aren't you tired of hiding the evidence? Well, with our new experimental kitchen design, those days are past. It's location independent, so it can be dropped even in a field in the middle of nowhere. With separate hookups for power, natural gas, and water, it can take your imagination to its wildest extremes. The toy everyone's gonna want this Christmas is the MythBusters Extreme Kitchen.
Welcome back. With the Extreme Kitchen Tower back up,
That looks pretty straight to me.
at last, it's time to see if water plus a grease fire can ever equal a 30-foot high fireball. With the small-scale results in mind, they've got a regular stock pot at a 2-to-1 ratio of ingredients. 2 quarts of oil to 1 quart of water.
There's a pretty stiff wind out here, so I'm reckoning that we're not gonna get 30 feet straight up, but we might get 30 feet sideways, and that's what the myth says, 30 feet. It didn't say straight up.
Ah, that's our Jamie. Always one to move the goalposts.
I want a 30-foot fireball, a genuine, bona fide, dyed-in-the-wool, homegrown 30-foot fireball.
This is it, the final countdown for the ultimate disaster test. Will the worst-case scenario for a kitchen fireball meet Adam's high hopes?
Okay, yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
That was 30 feet.
That was 30 feet. Nicely done.
It looked good from here, with 2 quarts oil and 1 quart water. That's 4 times the original amount they used. Have they finally cracked it?
It worked.
It works beautifully. That was one 30-foot high fireball from average amounts of cooking materials and regular old kitchenware.
And I particularly like the apron on fire. It was a nice touch that we got with that.
I'm glad you like that.
And the final verdict from the high-speed referee.
There it goes.
Yep.
Yeah.
28, 29, 30.
Easily 30. That's a lot of fire out of a little pot of oil.
At last, it's mission accomplished. 8 ounces of water can't give you a 30-foot fireball, but a quart sure can.
2 parts oil, 1 part water. We got the fireball we were looking for. I could see it well above the 30-foot marker, it's there.
I will now regard making French fries with the same fear I have for using a table saw. But as far as the 30-foot fireball from 8 ounces of water dumped in oil, it's a no-go. It's busted.
Busted it may be, but Jamie's not done yet. He's had a bizarre idea on how to escalate this kitchen catastrophe to the max.
This is what I came up with. A can of soup stock. What if that was sitting on a shelf above your stove and happened to fall into that pot of burning oil?
When you turn up the heat on a sealed can, the results are dynamite. So it may be just the thing to take this fireball to a whole new level. Because when Jamie's can of liquid falls into 800-degree oil, as sure as shooting, it's going to explode.
Now, we've already seen what happens when you pour water into the oil. Imagine what's going to happen when it enters the oil from pretty much underneath, all in like a 1/10 of a second. It's going to be spectacular.
And incredibly volatile, just how they like it.
I think we're close. Okay, we're going to drop it in.
When you take cover.
It's the moment of truth.
That's going to happen quick, I think. Pressure's built. Yeah! That's what I'm talking about.
That was nice.
The sweet, deep-fried smell of success. Their mini-me depth charge has shot up over 100 feet of fireball, left a beautiful MythBusters trademark, and created the ultimate kitchen nightmare. Tori, Carrie, and Grant are testing the claim that a South American sea battle was won by cannons blazing away with cheese balls.
For this myth to be confirmed, we need to see that cheese exit the cannon completely intact, hit the target, and make a perfect hole in our period-accurate sail.
Okay, ready to load?
Now, when the black powder ignites, the cheese could have up to 5,000 psi propelling it. What will happen to it then is anyone's guess.
There we go.
First cheese up is the Edam of the myth.
You do what you gotta do, right?
All right, we're out of here.
Think this is gonna work?
I have no idea.
The loaded cheese should have a realistic exit velocity if it makes it out of the barrel.
In 3, 2, 1.
Right off the sail! Yeah, no damage.
Smudged? Yes. Hold? No. The Edam shot out like a rocket, but as the lightest cheese of the trio, it simply doesn't have enough mass to penetrate the sail. So, what's next?
Guess we'll just have to see how Gouda does.
The earlier tests rated Gouda as the hardest, but it crumbled under load.
Nice fit, right? Gross.
Yeah, great fit.
So how will it fare as cannon fodder?
Now we'll find out how much damage this cheese can do.
Here we go.
The sail's unsullied, and the cannon has blown chunks of charred cheese all over the deck.
Which means all that energy dispersed. What we need is that solid mass of cheese to fly out with all that energy in order to do some kind of damage to this ship.
I don't know, it's starting to look not so good for this myth.
It sure ain't. Their hardest cheese just shredded itself. But maybe hardness isn't everything. They have another cheese in their locker, Garacha. Harder and heavier than Edam, but more elastic than Gouda.
Lighting the fuse in 3, 2, 1.
This time they're locked and loaded with the most flexible cheese rammed up tight. Will it finally be curtains for the sail?
Did you see how far it landed? It punched a hole right through the sail.
Oh my God!
At last, they've nailed it. That Garacha had the right texture to take the full explosive force of the black powder, and it sliced through the canvas like a knife through cheese.
I cannot believe the size of that hole.
That would cause me to retreat. So yes, the Edam failed. Yes, the Gouda failed. But finally, we found a cheese that was hard enough to stay intact and make it through the sale. It's lethal, people.
Lethal indeed, and a true blast from the past.
Well, I've got to say, that was some impressive cheese artillery.
You know what, though? I am good with calling cheese a viable weapon during the heat of battle. I'm calling this one confirmed.
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 And delicious.
When you're all lit up, use an extinguisher.
Good show, Llewellyn. I'll take 2.
And never fight a grease fire with water. But is it really never? Can you ever use water to put out a grease fire?
Yes, I know, viewers of MythBusters Extreme Kitchen, you want to know, and so do I. Is there any amount of water that can successfully extinguish a catastrophic grease fire in your kitchen? I have a way to answer this. Jamie doesn't know what it is yet, and I think you're going to like it.
To see if Adam's plan holds water, they first need to refurbish their severely singed kitchen. Sure, it may look pretty, but every item added is more fuel for a cataclysmic kitchen fire. And will make any inferno doubly difficult to douse.
All right, I'm going to increase the conflagration here. You ready?
Yeah. Granny's on fire, too.
Granny's on fire, all the cereals, oh man.
It'll take a Niagara of water to quench this blaze.
That's a bad grease fire right there.
I'd say so.
I think my water method is coming. Hold on. Hear that?
You did.
I did.
Usually on tap for fighting forest fires, there's at least 500 gallons swinging under that chopper.
So it looks like our housefrau had some friends in the fire department.
She did.
No fire!
Fire gone!
Cheating? Maybe. Effective? You bet.
That is just the way I was hoping it would look. Dude, this is nasty.
Yeah, there's cereal all over the floor.
It ain't pretty, but one thing's for sure. The fire has been quintessentially quenched.
And your helicopter guy, he hit the mark.
He hit the bullseye. PJ's the best, man.
For those who wondered if it is ever possible to put out a grease fire with water, the once proud MythBusters Extreme Kitchen is smoldering proof that you can.
This is possible, but you need 500 gallons of water, and you can't have a roof.
Well, I think our work's done here.
I am deeply, deeply satisfied. Let's go home.